Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business. Welcome to the Energy Outlook Live. My name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo. Another very beautiful week. We'll talk about some exciting stories within the energy sector. And of course, as you know, we'll give you the spotlight and we'll bring you up to speed on all that is happening. This week, we have a very much interesting topic to quickly talk about. The Ajaokuta Kaduna Kano pipeline project is our focus for this week. We'll look at the importance, the value to the country, and of course, shed more light. As just last week at the NOG Energy Week conference in Abuja, the GCU of NNPCL announced that exciting news that the NNPCL and its contractors and experts have finally crossed River Niger with the project. And that pipeline is a major one for the country. That the GCU shared this exciting news to experts and stakeholders at the NOG Energy Week conference in Abuja just last week. But what does this really mean? The Ajaokuta Kaduna Kano pipeline project, which popularly known as the AKK pipeline project, is a transformative project for Nigeria's economy. This 614-kilometer, 40 inches pipeline, valued at approximately $2.5 to $2.8 billion, is designed to transport 2.2 billion cubic feet of gas daily to northern Nigeria. But what does this really mean for the economy? And it's what we are talking about today, as it was really an exciting news for stakeholders when this announcement was made that we finally have crossed the river Niger with the project. That's our topic for today. We'll come back briefly, but as always, we would like to bring you up to speed on what's in the news and what's trending within the energy sector. Latest developments, Nigerians kick as FG hints at electricity tariff hike. Again, this is on the Daily Trust. Earlier this week, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has stated that the federal government is working to transitioning to a cost-reflective tariff to stop an increase in the 4 trillion naira debt it owes the sector. The minister spoke during the Mission 300 stakeholder engagement meeting in Abuja earlier this week, said this is part of reforms to set the power sector on the path of sustainability and bankability. If you recall that despite the increase in electricity tariff for Band A customers, customers have complained of low electricity supply and continuous payment of faulty electricity installations. So this was made earlier this week, and we're watching another tariff hike. What does that mean, really? I will continue to monitor these stories as we go. Our next story we are following for you is that the federal government seeks $3.28 billion investment to boost electricity for 300 million Africans. You recall that in January this year, in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, that different governments came together to sign a national compact. Now, the federal government has announced plans to raise $3.28 billion in investments to execute the Mission 300 compact he signed in January, with $15.8 billion expected from the private sector in Nigeria to to make up this amount. We talked about this in January. The initiative aims to provide electricity for 300 million unserved people in Africa, but in Nigeria we are looking at approximately about 100 million Nigerians. The Minister of Power, Adelabu Adebayo, made this disclosure during this same Mission 300 stakeholders engagement held in Abuja. He noted that Nigerians' commitment to the project is crucial to unlocking the country's economic growth in driving development. This compact that was signed by the federal government at Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in January, conversations are still ongoing, but I was hoping to hear from the minister how much has been raised from the total amount that they needed to raise to fix the power sector, as it's been a while since January, since this declaration was made. We're 6 months already, as we're in the month of July. We hope that we see more follow-ups on this to be able to understand what the federal government may have done so far to raise this amount to make up what they need to fix the power sector. We'll continue to follow this story for you. Next, 40 meters, billing errors drive electricity complaints to 254,000. This story is on the Punch. Electricity distribution companies receive over 254,000 customer complaints in the first quarter of 2025, largely driven by grievances of over 40 metering, erratic services, and the inaccurate billing. The Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission has said in a recent report earlier this week. In this report, which was quarterly report, was released recently, NERC, which is the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, revealed that this total number of complaints were lodged by customers between January, and March 2025, marking a 7.72%, drop from the 275,000 plus complaints received in the previous quarter. So, the numbers are still very high, despite the comparison. Even if you look at it, was dropped by 7.72. But the top three issues reported by customers, as I said earlier, is billing, service interruption, and cumulatively accounting for over, 62% of the complaints. Despite, the slight decline in total numbers, NEC notes that Port Harcourt Disco received the highest number of complaints during that same period of reporting this. The next is Yola Disco that received about 2,400. Meanwhile, Port Harcourt Disco received 57,843. Abuja Disco follows Ibadan Disco and Eko Disco in Lagos. A lot of complaints really. And NEC, I think what we need to get from NEC is how are you managing these complaints? What are the sanctions that you're giving as a regulator to these discos? How are you helping to complain? In Port Harcourt, for example, I know there are many stories. People have also mentioned to me how, they get some unnecessary billing. And it's been a tussle to really follow up with the disco in Port Harcourt and also to get NEC involved at some point. So these are some of the issues happening, and we want NEC to indeed speed up. Maybe we need to get someone from NEC to come talk to us. These are very serious complaints. And the numbers are really high. We'll talk about it in maybe future episodes. We'll try to get someone from NEC to come talk to us about it. One of our reports again next is FG electricity subsidy for hospitals, schools, elusive 1 year after. A lot has happened in the power sector really, and this report, about 1 year after the federal government promised subsidized electricity for consumed by hospitals and educational institutions in the country, the facilities are still grappling with the high electricity debt, the Punch newspaper reports earlier this week. The Minister for Power, who made this promise in August 2024, has since remained quiet, the report notes, with no further action taken on the promise. The same as industry sources knowledgeable about the development stated that the federal government may not be considering any form of power subsidy, for the institution at the time, at this moment. The consumer group also condemned the federal government's silence on the matter, alleging that the power minister only made this statement without approval from the Federal Executive Council. The Honorable Minister, we want you to do well on this promise. Whatever is happening with it, it will be best to indeed update the stakeholders on what is happening because hospitals and schools really, I know one of the private-owned clinic had spoken to me one time at an event and said, Wisdom, my bill has gone up to over 20 million every month, and that was really high. Same thing with schools. We don't want to hear how much many of our institutions, gather every month on power bills is indeed high, and any support they can get from federal government will indeed be helpful. So, Honorable Minister of Power, we want to really ask that you reach out, please, to this, and make do of the promises. Where are we? Do we need a FEC approval? If we do need one, it will be the best time to try to engage because it's been a tough one on them. Our final story before we get into our interview for today is oil firms must show proof for local content remitters. The regulator has said oil firms must show proof of local content remittance. Operators in the upstream arm of oil and gas sector have been mandated by the federal government to obtain compliance certificates to prove their 1% remittance to the Nigerian Content Development Fund. The Nigeria Content Development and Monitoring Board, an agency of the federal government, introduced the Nigeria Content Compliance Certificate System to ensure adherence to Nigerian content requirement for remittance to the Nigeria Content Development Fund. This initiative was unveiled on Tuesday at a 2-day sensitization workshop in Lagos aimed at enhancing transparency and boosting local participation in the oil and gas sector. Section 104 of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act of 2010, established by the Nigerian Content Development Fund to fund the implementation of Nigerian content development in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, really. But in summary, what is being said here is they want to see remittance, the federal government wants to see remittance into the Nigerian Content Development Fund. To make it a bit more easier, maybe we can also see so far funds that have been remitted to this Nigerian Content Development Fund, what have they been used for really? Maybe we can start there as a way to also encourage people to be compliant with it. But this was a news earlier this week, and I think compliance is really going to be tough as the federal government hopes to follow up with this, especially among operators in the upstream of the oil and gas sector. All right. So those are our news we have for you on major issues happening within the energy sector, from power to oil and gas. And as always, we bring you this every week. All right. We move to our main show for today, but we'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, we are discussing the AKK gas project. What does it mean for Nigeria, the economic value, and what should Nigerians really know about this project? And I have an energy expert who will be talking to me, who has had vast experience within the gas space and commercial space, who will be speaking to me and share more insight for us. Don't go. Stay with us. We'll run off on a break. I'll be right back in a few minutes.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode. And that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
All right, welcome back. This is the Energy Outlook Live, and we're talking to you from Lagos, Nigeria. Yes, today we are discussing the AKK gas project. And for many of you who don't know, the AKK gas project is the Ajokuta Kano Kaduna gas pipeline project. Today we dissect some of the issues and, of course, what are the advantages and importance for the Nigerian economy? What does it mean? This project has been on for many years, and just last week we got the announcement that they successfully crossed the River Niger. To break this down for us, my guest is an experienced commercial expert with cognate technical exposure in the energy sector. He has been in many gas projects and has worked widely over the years within the energy sector for major IOCs. His name is Mr. John Kadiri. He's Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Alpha Max Value Energy and Renewables Limited. Mr. John, welcome to the show. Hello, sir. Can you hear us? Okay. All right. In case you can hear me, sir, I think you're a bit frozen, network, but we can see you, but you can move. Let's try again. Mr. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Good evening.
Oh, fantastic. Welcome back. You are frozen a bit. Okay, so welcome to the program, and thank you for finding time to join me. This is a very important topic, and I wanted to speak to an expert who, can really break it down for us, we ordinary Nigerians, on what it means. But first of all, we finally crossed the River Niger with the AKK gas project. This was announced by the group CEO of NNPC. Tell us, what does this mean for you, and what are your thoughts about this announcement, and what should Nigerians know about this project?
Yeah, thank you very much, Wisdom. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Please go on.
Yeah, thank you. An excellent question. Indeed, I was at the NOG where the GCO of NNPCL made that announcement. And like you said in your intro, everyone was excited. I was also excited because this has been long in coming and is better late than never. And crossing the Niger at this time is a testament to the value and tenacity of NNPC and our contractor, and above all, a demonstration that local companies have come of age. So indeed, it was exciting, and it means a lot to Nigerians. As an instance, having the pipeline available to convey gas is like energy and life wire to the economy, just like blood is to a human being. This will be better appreciated by the time we break down the value of the gas you have indicated can be transported through that pipeline that has just crossed the River Niger in Kogi. But over and above that, I just wish that the same technology and tenacity used by this local contractor can be extended to the similar crossing of the River Niger on another project that will connect to the AKK. Let me stop there, Wisdom, for now. Thank you.
All right,
Once
fantastic.
Again, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. I mean, the excitement could be felt by stakeholders at the NOG when this was announced. And of course, that excitement could tell you, how we have been waiting for quite a long time to see these projects, fully succeed, as they've really had, many bottlenecks. But Let's discuss this within the broader decade of gas, plan that we've had over time. And if you could really touch light, some of the importance, of this AKK project within that broader, decade of gas, strategy Nigeria has had. What does this really mean? Let's put it more in context, sir. If you can help us break it down.
Yeah, thank you. It's also another exciting question. The gas journey in Nigeria has come a long way, and the decade of gas at this time is part of that story to crystallize utilization of our God-given resources. It's not so much of a strategy. I think it's more of an initiative, a framework, more or less, standing on 4 pillars, mimicking the Nigeria commercial framework on gas we had some 15, 16 years ago. The decade of gas, pillar number 1, not in any particular order, is to ensure that stakeholders, both those in government, in the private sector, are galvanized and capitalized to ensure that 1, gas is made available. 2, people who are ready to utilize gas know about it and can utilize gas. 3, that the transportation framework from source to destination is provided. And 4, that the requisite capacity is built in terms of manpower that will operate the system. In summary, decade of gas working with government, private sector to create demand, provide supply, the connecting infrastructure between demand and supply, and the human capital that will operate and manage the system. Therefore, within that context, having the AKK from Ajaokuta, Kaduna to Kano, providing the vehicle is part of the infrastructural aspect of the work that the decade of gas is set out to do. Thank you, William, Jumbo.
Okay, fantastic. Now, but we know that for quite a long time, there have been many infrastructural challenges that have limited the expansion or distribution of gas, really. So, I mean, listening to the excitement when this news was shared, as I said earlier, it now sounds like the AKK project solves entirely our infrastructural challenges when we talk about gas. Is this correct?
Thank you, Wisdom. Yes and no. When people talk of the AKK, they often forget that the line is not starting from Ajaokuta. The line actually started from Uben in Edo State and got up to Ajaokuta many years ago.
Okay.
Same way, there is the Escravos Lagos pipeline system.
Okay.
From Warri, Delta State, all through Edo up to Lagos.
Okay.
A number of pipelines within the river states. And if you look back in time, those pipelines were underpinned by construction of gas plants. And those gas plants were to produce the gas transported through these lines for utilization in some hubs. So if you analyze what I have just said, you will see a demand element, you will see a supply element, you will see an infrastructure element.
Okay.
But difference between now and then is that the previous developments were mainly government driven. But today, this is both government and private sector working together and overlaying on it human capital development and capacity building, which in part have been part of the work that the NCDMB you mentioned in your news commentary has been doing. So AKK is a continuation of a story. And beyond that story, creating the infrastructure, there are some other layers. Where is the gas that will flow through the AKK come from? Where is the market? So it's like chicken and egg. Building the AKK is providing infrastructure and more like creating the market that will enable the relevant investments for the gas utilization. So on its own, it's not Uhuru with AKK, but it's part of a wider story providing infrastructure that will orchestrate demand and supply for gas to engender the development that we desire in Nigeria, utilizing our natural resources.
Amazing. I like how you break that down really, which is what I was indeed looking out for. But I want to dig a bit deeper now. You mentioned earlier that this project is a success of the growth of indigenous players. And now you've mentioned similar thing again, and I want to look deeper into the market. How are you seeing the market now with the rise of indigenous companies coming up and with the kind of private sector support that the AKK project has indeed received? What are your thoughts around the market? Do you see hope within the market itself, especially with indigenous players? And if you look at what the success of this AKK project will be, what are your thoughts around this?
Wisdom, I know if I mention company's name, you start charging for advertisements. The company that has worked on the river crossing or working on the AKK from the Ajakuta end has done a fantastic job. And like I said in my intro, I hope they will be able to share knowledge.
No, but I think we can mention the
people.
particular company that did that. I mean, it's fine. We won't charge for that.
OSF has done a wonderful job.
Okay.
And incidentally, my friend and colleague, ex-colleague, is the current MD working with the amiable chairman. So I hope they can share knowledge with those crossing the lower River Niger on the OB3 project so that the same success story we are having now will be had on the OB3. I say this for a reason.
Okay.
Today, the gas that will flow through the AKK will have to come from somewhere. The closest source known to me is the gas coming from Asanot, where Seplat and former Shell are building a plant. They connect to the OB3. That gas gets to Oben, connects to EBS, and can find its way to Ajakuta and flow through on the AKK when it's ready, and any other gas can join.
Okay.
So OSRB alone and few others can't do it. We need scale, whatever it would take, to empower the sector to grow so that many more OSR and similar contractors that will service the industry will thrive. All the bunkering, all the pipeline vandalism in the Niger Delta, bulk of those contracts in my old days, were handled by indigenous contractors. So they've come a long way. They've built capacity, they are building capacity, but they should be able to do that in scale, in multiple locations at the same time. Instead of having one, if we can have 10 working at the same time. So it will go a long way in domesticating talents and in actually using local content to improve what is retained in country as a result of utilization of gas and even producing gas at that.
Okay. So, in what you're saying, you sound like you're happy with the economic activities that may have also, we have seen around this project, like maybe job creation, which is driving the local content and all of that. Did you see any of that around the success of this project so far with the AKK? Since it was done by an indigenous company, do you see enough of that economic activities, that we can be confident about as we move forward within the sector itself?
Thank you. Thank you, Wisdom. I am also a beneficiary of the AKK projects. People knowing that gas will soon get to Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano are looking for people like us to advise them. So it's hitting my bottom line almost immediately. Many other people will benefit because projects will come up, projects will be developed, projects will be matured, and those projects will create value utilizing gas. And like I keep saying, it goes beyond Ajakuta, Kaduna, and Kano. Where the gas is produced, activities will be created there, whether onshore or offshore, whichever way, as long as it gets into the pipeline and it will be utilized. Industries will have to spring up along the corridor where gas is found. So no wonder the excitement. And if you look back, bulk of the development we've seen in the past centers around places where there is gas as a source of energy. Agbarauta is an example.
Hello, sir, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay,
Over
okay.
to you.
All right. Okay, so you mentioned, there are areas where this is happening. There's going to be more development. But I want to expand your thoughts on that, sir, if you allow me to. Let's look at what else can really benefit, from this. And now we have had a long-standing issue with power when it comes to gas to power itself. And being that we've agreed that gas is a transition fuel, maybe that has also contributed to many excitement about the project. So my question to you is, what do you see happening to power with this AKK project? If you look at power generation in the country, what are the positives you see, and what are the areas of concern, if there are any?
Yeah, thank you. I didn't see you at the NOG, and I'm sure at the NOG you heard when the authority and the commission's chief executive spoke about gas utilization, and there were commentary about that. So 2.2 BCF of gas flowing through a line in itself is not the answer. The answer is that the gas will come from somewhere. The answer is that last year we were able to generate, produce, and utilize about 6.8 BCF per day of gas. That of that volume, about 1.8 BCF per day was domestic, and about 2.5 BCF per day was for exports. So if you situate it, now having a pipeline that has the capacity to do 2.2 BCF a day shows that it can do much more than we are doing today in the domestic markets. So what does that tell you? We need more gas. More gas will have to flow. But my confidence lies in the fact that if you look at the maturation funnel from the commission's report, you see a lot of people are doing field development plan that will produce oil and gas between now and 2030. You see that people are getting applications across for approval for well drilling. Applications are going out for re-entry into wells and fields. all that will result in gas production. And I believe with the interconnectivity, that gas will find its way up north. Therefore, with proper sequencing, which is the difference between the decade of gas now and the initiative of the past that I described, where demand, supply, infrastructure, and human capital are aligned and intertwined, projects will be delivered in sync such that there will be value. So if, for example, the Kaduna plant, the Abuja plant, the Kanu power plants that are associated with the AKK are properly synchronized, that upon completion of the pipeline, the power plants are ready, the gas is flowing, 3,600 megawatts of power to be generated along that corridor means a whole lot. And that in itself will need between 500 and 720 million scf of gas per day, depending on whether you are using open cycle or combined cycle technology. So with that in place and with the regional and state electricity market already in place, I believe proper transmission networking of the power that will be generated in all those power plants will be in place. Maybe instead of being on the 330 kV line, you can be on the 132 kV, for example, depending on your location, depending on your catchment market. Okay. And more power will be produced from that gas, which already will take between 20 and 33% of the gas that will be conveyed through that pipeline. So you ask me what will happen to the balance. There are gas-based industries. Fertilizer plant can spring up along that corridor. Energy-intensive facilities can also spring up. So there's so much to do with gas that having this facility at this time, and with all the synchronization of demand, supply, infrastructure, and manpower, all that will be unleashed, and economic development can only be the results.
Amazing, amazing. That sounds exciting for me, but we want to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll change the dimension of the conversation maybe a little bit. Look at other areas around now. More investment, as experts have always said that the sector is lacking investment. So with this progress and success we have made, what should investors be seeing? What should investors be looking at? And where should more money be going to? Stay with us. We'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, my guest is still here with us and will walk us through the response to that question. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, welcome back. So, we are discussing the economic value of the AKK gas project and the success recently achieved crossing the River Niger. And my guest is Mr. John Kadire, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Alpha Max Value Energy and Renewables Limited. So, Mr. John, so my question, if you're still with me, if you can hear me clearly, please.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So now, with all you have explained, I see progress, I see success, I see some exciting economic value across, the value chain itself up north. I see how you said, of course, a lot will happen within that corridor, and much more exciting as when people see that gas is coming to Abuja, Kanu, and Kaduna, and those areas up north. So my question now is for investors who are watching the space, and I know President Tinubu has mentioned that a few investments have come into the energy sector just recently. What are the key opportunities and confidence signals does this project give to investors and investors watching the space? What do you want to put on their mind, and for the opportunities they should be looking out for? And finally, where should more investment be going now that we have this success with the AKK gas project?
Thank you, Wisdom. I wish I have the crystal ball to tell you the exact answer. I think I would have been a billionaire myself. But I do know that gas is a source of energy.
True.
Wherever you can use energy, and that opportunity is now available.
Okay.
So the fertilizer plants of this world that have been around some parts of the country can now also come along this corridor. The aluminum smelting companies, subject to other consideration, can find their way. Any industry and every industry that needs energy and power, including the power plants that we have already discussed, that will be planted around that corridor to take between 20 and 34% of the gas.
Yes.
But let me also tell you something that I see by virtue of the work I do as a consultant. A number of companies are already jostling to acquire land around Ajaokuta. Mini LNG, CNG, name it. That same excitement you see around Ajaokuta today very soon will be extended to the terminal in Abuja, the terminal in Kaduna, and even the terminal in Kano. So when I say terminal is like a junction, a connecting point. So by design of the pipeline, going from Ajaokuta to Kano, there are these terminals in those locations where you can go westward or eastward by pipeline, whether bigger pipeline or distribution pipeline. That will require some people to build. That is an investment opportunity. Collects tariff on the pipeline that has been built. AKK itself will not get it to Abuja town, but from wherever the terminal is, investment will be required from there, and industries can also spring along that corridor. So utilization of energy will be promoted in whatever form without giving specifics. It will depend on what the investors are interested in, but almost all that you do in the Western corridor today can be done along this corridor, subject to the ports being available in the south. But you can argue that even the River Niger with dredging and other functionality can also play a role for evacuation, even for investment on the northern flange. Again, you can argue that instead of conveying finished products from the south to the north, where this industry now exists in the in the middle belt and in the north, production from there can now circulate within the north. So the opportunity is limitless. It depends on what people want to do. And people like you too, following the corridor and making use out of it will also have a place in all that equation.
We are hopeful. We are hopeful. That's why we are following some of these, very important happenings in the sector. But at the heart of it is be able to educate Nigerians really. From a high level point of view to a point of view where Nigerians see, progress really. And for me, this is looking like, a very large, progress or very critical progress we have made economically within the energy sector. As from what you're sharing, I see that things like CNG, I know that we need to establish quite a lot of mother stations for CNG, and this will now be a driver for that. Am I correct?
Very correct. Like I said, this is already happening at Ajakuta,
Okay.
And would extend northward. I mean, instead of having mother station at Ajakuta and trucking northward, you can as well in future have it in Abuja or in Kaduna or in Kano and have your own catchment markets all around that. So it's about democratizing access to gas that God has given us freely.
But Mr. John, really, so what has taken us so long to achieve this as a country? If we have all these opportunities and value attached to this project, what indeed was the issue over the years, in your view, to achieve this level of success, and we have waited till now?
Thank you very much. If you look back in history, like I said, an attempt was made in the past when fertilizer plant, aluminium smelter, power plants, gas plants were constructed.
Because the Ajakuta Steel Company itself has been there for ages. As a child, I always hear about the Ajakuta Steel till date. So,
okay, let me tell you what I didn't want to say. That the line to Ajakuta was built primarily to get gas to the Ajakuta power plant taken from Mobe. It was part of that initiative. But I'm sure you know what happened to all those organizations we mentioned, being primarily government driven.
Yeah.
When there is no demand, then supply will be hampered. There was no incentive to continue the development of the gas that will feed into this sector. The Ministry of Petroleum Resources is doing a whole lot to create competitiveness. Something that will shock you, Wisdom,
Yes.
is that 51% of our proven reserve is actually non-associated gas. Only 49% is associated. If you use production statistics for last year, for example, about 57% of the gas utilized last year was from AG, only 43% was from NAG, even though the resource volume for NAG is much more. It boils down to economics.
Okay.
Associated gas has oil as a component and sometimes condensate. Non-associated gas sometimes will have element of condensate. Sometimes it could just be pure dry gas. So the cost of development of that facility from upstream to when the gas will flow will be important. So that if you look at the economics, what will it cost you and how much are you going to get out of the gas? It will hamper developments. So it's not just about pipeline, it's about the gas supply, it's about the demands, the companies that will utilize the gas, which is the more reason I'm excited about what the Decade of Gas is doing. Working with private sector, the government sector, to give the assurance that gas can be available within the right framework And the decade of gas is working with many segments of governments that will enable the reform that can bring gas to the table at the right price, transportation at the appropriate tariff, so that what we are seeing today as sources can continue as a sources.
But Mr. John,
otherwise, the line will just be built and will be empty.
Mr. Jordan, are you confident that the decade of gas will meet up within the next 5 years?
The decade of gas is for 10 years. Like you said, about 4 of the 5 years of the 10 years is gone.
Yes.
So 7 years remaining.
7 years, okay.
So I think about
5
6, 7 years remaining.
Okay.
They are firing on all cylinders. And with what the government has done in the past 2 years, enabling NAG to be produced, and with the program the NUPROC is having on field development plan, with high level of NAG development in the offing, I am confident that there will be relative sources now than before.
All right. Other issues that I want us to look at are things like, vandalization, gas flaring, which remains a major issue for the sector itself. Now we have the AKK gas project. Of course, I'm not sure if the timeline for the completion of the project was communicated, but though we are celebrating the success crossing the River Niger, but what are your thoughts around issues like gas flaring and also vandalization? How do you want to advise that we handle this so that we can also be able to achieve some of these successes we're looking at with this project?
Yeah, thank you. I think there are 3 unrelated issues in a way. But first of all, let me look at the timeline on the completion of the AKK. It's important, it's crucial. And like I said, if the pipeline is completed, there is no gas supplied into it. There are no projects to offtake the gas. Then there will be a mismatch between investments in upstream, midstream, and in the downstream end, which is very critical in ensuring that there is sources.
Okay.
Then on flare, I think the government in recent years has been doing something about commercializing flare. Again, if you look at records, last year we flared almost 523 million scf of gas per day. And if you look at the records of the 28 companies that have produced and flared, 10 of them flare about 75% of the gas. And there is one particular company that flares almost about 115 million scf per day, representing close to 22 or so % of current flare. But like I have mentioned, if you are doing AG associated gas and you are able to get the oil from a terrain that is unfriendly, you can produce oil into tankers offshore. And you need a route for gas, maybe some 100 kilometers offshore into land. If the pipeline is not there and you must produce oil, you have to flare the gas.
All right,
except you want to shut in the well. So flare will have to continue in a way until route is found for gas, until the commercialization policy take route with all those investors in that space. For vandalism,
yes,
I think
in less 30 seconds.
indigenous companies are doing well. There have been reduction in vandalism if the record is anything to go by.
Yeah.
Uptime is higher, and the reconciliation factor is now higher. Lower. We have more oil in the terminal now than before. although they are unrelated.
Yeah. All right.
Over
So,
to you.
yeah, Mr. John, I think that's a fine place to leave it. I mean, though we need more time, as there are really broader issues we would have even spoken about, but you've touched on the very key ones, and we appreciate your time. But we have to go, so this is where we need to leave it. But thank you so much for your insight, really, for breaking this down in a way that gives Nigerians more clarity on the economic value of this very important project. I've been speaking to Mr. John Kadiri, who is Managing Director and CEO of Alpha Max Value Energy and Renewables Limited. Thank you so much, sir, for the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, this is our show for the week. If you missed this very important episode, you can watch your replay on our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. But I hope you've been able to get more insights. Until next week, same time, same station. We'll be back again with another very important episode. My name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo, and this is the Energy Outlook. See you next week.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.